Back in the old days, well, as you know, I was trying to do a lot of things, and I finally got. It took me a minute. Of course, you have to get saw blades and axes and stuff, and I was able to get ships across between Europe and America with like 7 or 12 or 24. I think it was 24 at first or so. 24 little hops, hopping behind between fort to fort or cove to cove kind of thing. Ships were able to hop up the coast and then across the very top and then back down. Safest route. Otherwise, if they tried to go out across the ocean, they didn't seem to make it. There was the trade winds though. We got that. But but anyway, though, the point is though that well, I mean, there's a lot of whaling facilities up there. So realistically, the only way people wanted to go was basically up the coast and then across and then back down. That's where all the food and stuff was. There's a lot of towns along there and stuff. But I was able to do that in about 24 hops or so, and then I finally got it down to about 7, and then or 8 or so, something like that, and then actually it went like 11, 10, and then getting longer distances. But they were mostly small ships. They're working with like 34 and 70-foot ships, and then finally I was able to get the first 120-foot ships and 140-foot ships. And I think there was a 300-foot wooden ship or something like that. But wood and size really don't. I mean, you have to look at the records to see what ships we had. Um, but and we were only able to do that because of big metal and big saw blades and the water. I forget water power or something like that, or I think it was steam power. When we finally got steam power. We were able to cut great big huge logs, and that allowed us to be able to do the big ships, and we were able to do it in like 7 or 6 or 4 jumps between America and Europe. And then finally, we were able to do it in like 2 jumps, basically. And then, and it was really the water and the food that was a problem, I think, and the storm conditions. The ocean was kind of more or less unpredictable. You had to go by old sailors to see if you could actually cross because, you crossed at the wrong time. It was bad. So, ever since Roman times, and I think that's why they really called them Roman times because for the first time, people were able to roam. I had my 4 horseman carriage service, which would carry you from coast to coast for just a bit. Like it's a 1/10 of a penny, basically. I think it was. You could go coast to coast in America and other countries for like 1/10 of a penny, which is basically the equivalent of it was like 1 day's wage or 1/2 day's wage. I worked it out to basically be where it wasn't all that much. You're basically paying your driver and a small part of the carriage fee. Of course, well, there's a lot of shipping too, so you didn't exactly ride alone on a lot of those things. A lot of those things where you'd be riding with. I think there was 2 things. Maybe it's the stuff you could ride with packages basically or something like that. I forget what the details were exactly, but basically. You could ride with packages, which I think cost you a bit because I had to do shipping anyway. The equivalent of basically riding with FedEx or UPS or something like that. That would cost you like a bit or something like that, or 2 bits, which is 2/10 of a penny. And then, which I think that might have been like 1 bit for the driver and 1 bit for me, basically. And I made a lot of money that way. But that was a carriage service that went from coast to coast. And other places, land-based. And it had more to do with the fact that my factories had to be doing shipping anyway, so, having a couple extra fares really didn't make that big a difference. And then I forget if you wanted to ride alone, I think that was like maybe like 4 bits or something. I forget the exact details of it. But I think that's why they called it Roman, because for the first time ever, you could take a chariot or a wagon and basically roam or go wherever you wanted, basically. Kind of worldwide, actually. Although there were some restrictions. And I think there were restrictions on how long you could stay inside of a town, because, of course, everybody wanted to be in the towns because the towns we're getting lights in towns, and we're getting bathhouses, so people kind of wanted to stay in towns, and it's like, well, no, you really can't unless you're actually working there because, there's services and there's only so much food in a town. Things were kind of they kind of cost money, but I didn't really tell my people to turn people away so much because I mean, if a person's hungry, I gave them orders to go ahead and try and feed them if they could. So things were a little bit more or less nicer. Something for free, abundance like crazy for the first time ever, basically. And big operations, lots of stuff going on, lots and lots of stuff going on. Trees, whole trees, foresting, all kinds of stuff. So it was a different time, and a lot of slate, a lot of building, a lot of bricks, brick research. I was doing a lot of brick research, using weights to compress brick, and then later on steam presses to press brick, and then concrete steam press forming molding. I was having them work on a lot of like molding materials like brick and making clay tiles, all kinds of different clays, different color clays. It was really a time when a lot of new products were different size bricks, small brick, long brick, big brick. There were quite a few different, like probably 50 different brick combinations. I had my own, and I was kind of doing my little research, and then of course there are other people that are basically copying or making their own version of brick. My brick was usually the strongest because I had steam presses and stuff, but no big deal, whatever. The companies were doing good. I think there were like 3 big brick companies basically, and I had started 2 of them or 3 of them basically, but I didn't worry about it. It's like whatever. I just wanted the brick. I just kept a brick company mostly so I could do the brick roads, brick buildings. So I'd have brick. Same thing with slate quarries. There were other slate quarries, but I had the big one because I was building houses. Because I'd build a factory and a house. And houses. For the factories. Plus, I was doing a lot of sewer system work. Building sewer systems, building aqueducts. That was all going on a lot, so I had to have my own private slate quarry basically, and then pay my workers and all that. And like I said, there was a shortage one time where we were running out of metal to pay the people because you'd have to mine the metal to make the money to pay the people. So it's kind of like one of those things, but. And I had to go to wooden money or clay money until I could get more minerals mined because there's a shortage of minerals. So that happened back then too. So and then later on people could just exchange their clay or wooden money for real money later on. I think they burned stamps in the money. And there was a lot of wood burned in money. They'd burn the stamp inside the money. I think I think that's how the wooden money was. There'd be a wooden circle, and then they would burn the stamp in there, kind of like branding. But it was a point in time, and all that money's gone and everything. But there's a lot of things that went on back then. So yeah, interesting time. Time of growth, and it's all over with now. But good time. They did a lot of things, a lot of different kind of bricks techniques, like extruding brick, making long skinny brick, a hexagonal shaped brick. They're messing around with a lot of brick stuff and a lot of other different kinds of things that are like brick. Seeing what they could heat up and mold into shapes and get it to stay like that tile there, and just it was an interesting time. It was a time of learning and expanding, and it was a wonderful time actually. A lot of people felt really good back then. And I did too. I was really proud of all of my people, of my inventions, and just how far we were coming so quickly. And we did go really far really quickly, and it's just a matter of building stuff. Anyway, it's kind of sad to have it all gone now because it was wonderful. It was a different kind of time, and I'm glad I got to see it though. It was really awesome, wonderful.